Hello there, welcome back to my channel. It has been so long since I've taken out a camera to record an episode. I honestly don't even know what episode this is. And when was the last time that I did a recording? I decided today is the last day of 2025 to do a special episode on toy knitting. I really enjoy knitting. However, I find that I almost never wear the sweaters that I make. I live in California and I just find that it's never cold enough to wear my woolly knits. And when I do, I just get so hot. And so I thought, what else could I make, right? Because I've made so many pairs of socks and again, I never wear them. And after a while, when you've gifted all your friends socks, I'm just left with hundreds. I'm just kidding. But I'm left with so many socks that I don't know what to do with. And so I've discovered the joy of toy knitting because these little creatures are small. They don't take up a lot of room. My kids and their friends enjoy these creatures that I make. So there's a use for these items. They don't take up a lot of yarn and they're extremely portable. So when I travel, I'm not carrying, 6 or 7 balls of yarn, but, small skein, just a couple yardage. And that's really all I need. And because the pattern is so exciting, I never really quite get bored with it. And so I thought today I would do a roundup and share with you some of the items that I've made recently. I have become completely obsessed with this book. Mouche and Friends. The first project, let's go back. So when I first started, I started with Susan B. Anderson. Her patterns are great. So if you are first time toy knitting, very little experience, I highly recommend you check out Susan B. Anderson. Her patterns are always great. And then most recently, I discovered this book, author Cynthia Valet. And the first item I made from her book was actually the Tzu Tzu Bear, which is not in this book. It's its own separate pattern. The Tzu Tzu Bear is this little guy right here. Is he not the cutest little bear you've ever met? He is adorable. So the pattern was so well written. Her pattern so far, I have not discovered any mistakes. I have made several. You see a couple here. There's 3 here, but I'm embarrassed to admit that I think I've made 7. Look how cute they are. Just look at that. The issue with these bears is as soon as I make one and someone sees it, they take it. And so I'm left with 3. And the reason I have 3 left is because sometimes I would not put them out because people fall in love with them and they somehow end up taking them home. This is the striped sweater. My children have named them, but I can't tell who's who. This is a cable sweater. And this is a fisherman's sweater. They're just adorable. I love the little face that you make with them, and they knit up pretty fast. I mean, if you are a beginner, it may take you, slightly longer, but they're really not difficult at all. So after I finished those bears, I purchased this book, right? So that's the Tzu Tzu Bear. I will include a link to that pattern. And after I have experience, after I had experience making this one bear, getting used to the way that this author, Cynthia, writes her pattern, I went ahead and bought her entire book. I got it off of Amazon, so it was readily available. And let's go through, let me just show you some of her creatures that are here, right? Let me show you this sheep. Look at that. Look at that jacket. I really want to make it, but from what I've read online, that vest with the loops seems to take a long time. So I need to think about it. The donkey is my friend Marissa's maybe next project. By the way, she and I are doing this together and she got me addicted. Oh my gosh, this Nana duck, I'll show you. This is my second pattern. Adorable. Look at that. Look at her patterns, and they're so well written. I'm really impressed. I'm kind of obsessed with this raccoon. I think he's extremely adorable. So he may be next. I'm just really enjoying this. This is the Nana duck that I made. Look how cute she is. Her wings, her feathers, her tails, I guess, her little feet. And I think what I enjoyed the most was making her dress. It was such a great scrap buster. I feel like all the leftover sock yarn that I've ever made or used that I couldn't throw away just all became handy. Like, you only need very little. And you know, I think this entire project was made with scrap yarn, and it doesn't end here. She has a little knitting basket full of yarn. So she is ready for a knitting session. I'm just completely obsessed. I think they're adorable. I'm making another one right now as we speak. Usually I keep them in a basket. And let me just show you what's in the basket, because I always love looking at knitters' work in progress. So here is my little duck in progress. Right, this is what she looks like before I give her. And by the way, I think it's important to block them. She recommends that you stuff them at the end, but Marissa and I we find it easier to stuff their face, because when you stuff them, you're stuffing them from the bottom, and I just find it hard to reach up all the way, right? So I kind of like to have their face and the head all done, and then I leave everything else unstuffed, and I block the entire body before I stuff them. So that's how I usually do it. And I have a huge bag of scraps that I choose from. I usually organize my scraps by yarn weight, and this is all made by fingering weight. By the way, I should mention that the size of the needle, the needles that I use are US 0, but I know my friend Marissa is knitting them with either size 1 or 2, and they're coming out equally adorable. So if 0 is too small for you, I would recommend going up a size. I keep all my tools in good old Hershey candy can, and because the items are so small, the needles are quite small. I find it easier to keep them in a tin of some sort, so it's easier for me to access them and bring them everywhere I go. And then all my stitch markers are here. I really enjoy using the Cocoa Knit circular stitch marker because they're just the right size. I don't know if you can see, they're really hard to see. But you know, these are my go-to, and then a row counter, the good old row counter. So this is my little knitting basket, and I literally carry this around the whole house. It's either on the dining table or it's in front of the television, and my family makes fun of me because my huge basket comes with me everywhere. Two more items I wanted to share are by Susan B. Anderson. So this is Susan B. Anderson's Good Bear and the Good Bunny pattern. I really enjoy these patterns as well. They're made with DK weight yarn versus Cynthia Valley. Those are fingering weight. So if you're intimidated by toy mitten making, you may want to start with Susan B. Anderson. This is the Good Bear pattern. I just think he is so cute, and I really enjoy making their pants and their sweater. The bunny is equally adorable. You know, they all have pants on. And so, you know, sometimes if I'm going out and I want to bring like a knitting project with me, I may just choose to work on their pants or their sweater and not bring, the actual creature itself, because that does require shaping and you do have to follow the direction of the pattern, like row by row. But the sweaters and the clothing they're usually pretty simple, and you can imagine like it's just a tiny little bit of yarn. It's really not much at all. So anyways, I just wanted to stop by and show you all the toys that I've been making. And I know it may be intimidating, but I really hope you give toy making a try. I think they're really fun. They bring me so much joy, and I just love seeing the finished product. And it's one item where my children are so excited. They're circling me. They're watching this duck come to life, and when it's all done, they can't believe how adorable the duck is. I think this Nana duck is really my favorite. And her little knitting basket of yarn, oh my goodness. I'm thinking to get her a pair of, round black glasses. I thought that would make her really cute. And I also need to find mini knitting needles to put in her knitting basket. So I'm having a moment with toy making, and I think it will continue well into 2026. So anyways, thank you for stopping by. I want to wish you a very happy new year, and may you have many yards and yards of yarn and enjoying whatever it is that you decide to knit, and that you have a blast doing that.